Testing for sound. Alright, we're going to start out by comparing fractions, then we'll move to adding fractions, and then we will reduce by the end of the week. A lot of this is review from 3rd grade. I'm just going to give you some 4th grade style fractions. Here's a typical comparing fractions problem. Remember, when you're comparing, you're trying to find out which one is greater or less than, depending on what the question is asking you. So, Mr. Longcore has 3/4 of a candy bar. Mr. Schenk has 4/6 of a candy bar. Both claim they have the most left and are arguing from a distance. Who is right? Well, when I see both claim they have the most left, I remember a fraction is part of a whole. It is almost always less than 1. In this case, I just see 2 regular fractions. I don't see mixed numbers. So that tells me, okay, I need to compare these 2 fractions to find out who has more. There's a couple ways you can compare them. You could find common denominators and compare them. Remember, we did that when you multiply them by the same number. Instead, I'm going to go back to the good old-fashioned fraction bars. Remember, to draw fraction bars, you need to have 2 rectangles, one on top of the other. They need to be the same length. Then you need to divide them into equal pieces. Remember, fractions have to be equal. This would not work for fourths. That's a monster section down there at the end. So instead, I start in the middle, divide it in half, and then I divide it in half again, and I get fourths. Now for sixths, I put it into thirds first. Then I divide again for sixths. There we go. Now we just shade. I have 3 of them up here. And then down here I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. You will need paper and pencil, or you will need to use your iPad and use the Notes app to draw in it. Then we just kind of draw a straight line down. I have more blue ones on top. I have more fourths, just barely. But you notice how the line keeps going. So, haha, in this case, Mr. Longcore is right because he has more. Haha, take that, Schenk. Don't tell Mr. Schenk. Alright, moving on to the next example. Alright, this time Mr. Longcore has a half a candy bar. Mr. Schenk has 4/8 of a candy bar. Both claim they have the most left and are arguing from a distance because, social distancing. Draw my pictures. This time it's just a half. That's no big deal. Eighths, that's a lot. We'll start by going in half because you can divide 8 by 2. Then I divide it into 2 again. Whoops, 2 equal sides again. I get fourths. So if I divide it in 2 again, I should get eighths. Let's find out. Well, hot dog, you're right, Mr. Longcore. Okay. Shade a half. Now I need 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, golly gee willikers, that sure looks equal to me. That wasn't a very good line. That was a little better. Yep. Shocker, they both have the same amount. Now, let's just do one more hypothetical here. What if, in the directions it didn't say, both claim they have the most left? No, this isn't a good problem for that. Let's go back one. What if, yeah, so I just did some editing, so this probably didn't transition well at all, and that's okay. Now let's suppose that instead of saying who has the most left, they want to know, who has the least amount left. So if we're doing like that, scratch that off. Who has the least amount left? We're still counting the shaded portions. But now, we're not looking on this side of the line. Now we're looking over here. Who has the least amount left? Oh, well, look, Ms. Locker's got only one little bit there, so